March 14, 1945, 3:47 p.m., 23,000 feet above the Rhine Valley. The fog below looks like cotton soaked in blood from the afternoon sun. Flight Lieutenant Mick Donnelly tastes metal in his mouth, fear, or the oxygen mask. He can't tell anymore. His Spitfire Mark IX shudders as 7 Focke-Wulf 190s drop from the clouds above him like wolves descending on a lone sheep. The math is simple, brutal, 7 against 1. His radio crackles. "Brake left, Mick, brake left!" But Mick doesn't brake left. He does something that makes no sense. Something his training officer would have failed him for. Something that in 2 seconds will either save his life or end it. He pulls back on the stick, hard, and he waits. Michael Donnelly grew up fixing tractors in County Cork, Ireland. His father ran a small repair shop that barely kept food on the table. Mick learned engines the way some kids learned piano, out of necessity, not choice. By 14, he could rebuild a carburetor blindfolded. By 16, he was keeping half the farm equipment in 3 counties running. He'd never thought about flying, never even seen a plane up close until 1942, when RAF recruiters came through Cork looking for mechanically minded young men. Mick was 19, bored with tractor repairs, and curious about a world bigger than oil-stained workshops. The RAF tested him, found he had perfect spatial awareness and reflexes that surprised even the instructors. Sent him to flight training in Scotland, where the North Sea wind cut through his flight suit and made him question every decision that brought him there. He was terrified, not of dying. Dying seemed abstract, distant. He was terrified of being ordinary, of being the pilot who panicked, who froze, who let his squadron down when it mattered most. His instructor, Squadron Leader James Hartley, was a veteran of the Battle of Britain. Stern face, iron gray hair, eyes that had seen too many young pilots burn. Hartley took a liking to Mick's mechanical mind, his ability to understand aircraft not just as machines, but as living things with personalities and limits. "You think too much, Donnelly," Hartley told him after a training exercise where Mick hesitated on a simulated attack run. "A Spitfire doesn't fly on thoughts, it flies on instinct. You need to feel the plane, not think about it." Mick never forgot that, but he never quite believed it either. By March 1945, Mick had flown 32 combat missions over France and Germany. He'd scored 3 confirmed kills, respectable but unremarkable. His squadron mates called him Lucky Mick because he always came back, always limped home with holes in his fuselage, but his engine still running. What they didn't know was that Mick kept a leather-bound notebook in his flight jacket. Every mission, he wrote down what went wrong, every mistake, every moment of hesitation. The notebook had 47 entries, 47 failures as he saw them. March 13th, the day before. Broke formation to avoid flak. Left Henderson exposed. He made it, but barely. "I'm going to get someone killed." The morning of March 14th starts wrong. Mick's Spitfire, Focke Freddy, has engine trouble during pre-flight. The Rolls-Royce Merlin sounds rough, misfiring on cylinder 6. The ground crew chief, Sergeant O'Brien, a thick-armed Scot who treats aircraft like his own children, shakes his head. "She'll fly, sir, but she won't love you for it." Mick's hands tremble as he signs the flight log, not from cold, from the knowing that something is coming. His wingman today is Pilot Officer David Chen, 22 years old from Vancouver. Chen's been with the squadron for 3 weeks, still has that eager brightness in his eyes that hasn't been burned out yet, still believes the war is an adventure. "Stay on my wing," Mick tells him during the briefing. "No matter what, you see trouble, you call it, and you stay on my wing." Chen nods, confident, too confident. They take off at 2:15 p.m. Routine patrol along the Rhine. Intel reports minimal Luftwaffe activity. The kind of mission that should be boring. The kind Mick has flown dozens of times. At 3:30 p.m., Chen's voice breaks over the radio. Excitement, not fear, not yet. "Mick, I've got contacts. Hi, 2 o'clock." Mick scans the sky, sees nothing. Then, there, glints of silver dropping through cloud cover. He counts. 1, 2, 5, 7. 7 Focke-Wulf 190s. The Luftwaffe's best interceptor. Faster than Spitfires in level flight. Heavier armed. Pilots who've survived this long are the ones who know every trick. Chen's voice, again, tighter now. "Mick, what do we do?" What they should do is run. Call for help. Dive for cloud cover. Anything except engage. But there's a bomber stream 40 miles south. If these 190s get past them, those bombers are dead. "Stay on my wing, David." Mick's voice is calmer than he feels. "We're going to buy some time." The 190s split into 2 groups. 4 diving from above. 3 swinging wide to cut off escape routes. Classic scissor formation. They've done this before. Mick kicks Freddy into a hard right turn, trying to get nose on to the diving group. Chen follows, loose but holding position. The Merlin engine coughs. Cylinder 6 still misfiring, but holds. The first 190 opens fire at 800 yards. Tracers arc past Mick's canopy like angry fireflies. He jinks left, but the 190 pilot anticipated it. More tracers. Closer.
Chen breaks formation, panics. "I can't, Mick, there's too many." "Stay with me." But Chen's already spiraling down, 3 190s following him like sharks smelling blood. Now it's 4 on 1. Mick's heart hammers against his ribs. His vision tunnels. Every instinct screams to dive, to run, to follow Chen down. But something else. Something from Hartley's training, something from 47 notebook entries of failures, tells him to do the opposite. The 190s are closing, 600 yards, 500. They're positioning for the kill, confident, taking their time because they have him boxed. What they can't see is that Mick isn't running anymore. He pulls back on the stick, smoothly, firmly. Freddy's nose comes up, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees. The airspeed bleeds off, 280 knots, 220 knots, 180 knots. The lead 190 pilot sees it, probably confused, wondering what the British pilot is doing, why he's throwing away his speed, his only advantage. 150 knots, 120 knots. Mick counts in his head. 1, 2. On 2, Freddy shudders, the wings lose lift, the Spitfire hangs motionless in the air for a fraction of a heartbeat, a controlled stall that every training manual says will kill you in combat. The 190s carrying their speed can't follow the maneuver. They flash past him below, overshooting, their momentum carrying them 200 yards ahead before they can react. In that moment, that impossible 2-second window, Mick has what he needs. He slams the stick forward. Freddy drops out of the stall, diving, engine screaming back to life. The 190s are directly below him now, exposed, caught wrong-footed. Mick doesn't think. He feels, the way Hartley said. His thumb finds the gun button. 8.303 Brownings and 2 20mm cannons open up. The noise is apocalyptic. The Spitfire shudders with recoil. The trailing 190 comes apart. Pieces of wing, canopy, engine cowling spinning away. The pilot doesn't bail out. The formation scatters. 3 190s break left, 1 breaks right directly into Mick's sights. Another burst. Hits the engine. Black smoke pours out. The 190 rolls inverted. Pilot fighting for control, spiraling toward the earth. The remaining 5 190s are reforming, but now they're cautious, uncertain. This wasn't supposed to happen. Mick checks his fuel gauge, empty enough that he should be worried. Checks his ammunition counter, half gone. The 190s make one more pass, half-hearted, testing. Mick meets them head-on, playing the same card, pulling into a climb that bleeds his speed, forcing them to overshoot or risk a head-on collision they don't want. They don't want it. The 190s turn south, regroup, decide this lone Spitfire isn't worth 5 aircraft. they disappear into cloud cover. Mick's hands shake on the stick. The adrenaline crash hits him like a wall. He realizes he's been holding his breath. Below, Chen's Spitfire is gone, just smoke trails marking where he went down. Mick doesn't make it back to base before the fuel light flashes. He sets F-ready down at a forward airstrip near Eindhoven. Rough landing. The Merlin finally gives up, Cylinder 6 seizing completely as he rolls to a stop. Ground crew swarms the aircraft. They count the billet holes. 17, most in the tail section. 2 through the port wing. One that punched through the canopy 6 inches from Mick's head and left a spiderweb crack in the bulletproof glass. Intelligence officers debrief him. Want to know about the 190s, their markings, their tactics. Mick tells them, mechanical, empty. He doesn't tell them about the 2 seconds, about the moment of perfect clarity where instinct overrode training, where being wrong was the only way to be right. That night he opens his notebook, writes, March 14th, lost Chen, 7 190s. Survived because I stopped thinking. Hartley was right, but Chen paid for me learning that lesson. 3 days later, Squadron Leader Hartley visits the squadron. He's heard about the engagement, heard that one of his former students pulled a maneuver that shouldn't have worked. The stall trick, Hartley says, sitting across from Mick in the officer's mess. I never taught you that. No, sir. Where'd you learn it? Mick shrugs. Nowhere. Just felt right. Hartley nods slowly, lights his pipe. That's how you know you're not thinking anymore. When the right thing feels impossible, but you do it anyway. He pauses. Chen didn't make it. That's not on you. But it is. Mick knows it is. Chen followed him into that sky. Chen trusted him. Pilot Officer David Chen is buried at the Eindhoven Commonwealth War Cemetery on March 17, 1945. It rains. The kind of cold rain that soaks through dress uniforms and makes you feel every year the war pressing down on your shoulders. 63 people attend. Chen's squadron, ground crew, some Dutch civilians who never knew him but come to every burial because they want the dead to know they mattered. The grave marker is simple. White Portland stone. Name, rank, age, date. Mick stands at attention while the chaplain reads words that sound hollow in the rain. He thinks about Chen's last transmission, the fear in his voice, the panic. That night, he reads Chen's last letter home. The squadron commander asked him to. Standard practice when a pilot goes down. Someone has to make sure there's nothing in the letters that would hurt the family more than necessary. The letter's to his younger brother in Vancouver. It ends, I'm learning so much here, about flying, about courage. My flight leader, Mick, he's the kind of pilot I want to be. Steady, brave. I'm lucky to fly with him. Mick folds the letter carefully, puts it back in the envelope. He never flies with a wingman again. Requests solo patrol assignments. His squadron commander approves. Everyone understands why.
His name appears in no books about fighter aces, no documentaries feature his story. The 2-second stall maneuver he used that day above the Rhine never gets an official name, never makes it into pilot training manuals. But the pilots who flew with him remember. After the war, Mick goes back to County Cork, opens a small aviation mechanic shop, never talks about his service except once a year on March 14th, when he drives to Dublin and drinks alone at a pub by the airport, watching planes take off. In 1963, a young pilot trainee visits his shop, notices the old flight jacket hanging in the office, asks if Mick served. I did, Mick says. Were you scared? Mick thinks about that question for a long time. Thinks about 719s and a 2-second stall and a kid from Vancouver who never made it home. Every single day, he finally says. But being scared wasn't the problem. The problem was letting fear make me think too much. The moment you start calculating odds, you've already lost. The trainee nods, not really understanding yet. He will, eventually, if he lives long enough.
I keep thinking about those 2 seconds. About how Mick Donnelly threw away everything his training taught him: speed, altitude, energy, and gambled on instinct. About how being wrong in exactly the right way is sometimes the only path to being alive. We spend so much time calculating, analyzing, waiting for perfect conditions. We think courage is about having a plan, about being prepared, about knowing what to do. But sometimes courage is pulling back the stick when every instinct says push forward. It's the moment between the stall and the dive. It's the 2 seconds where you hang motionless in the sky with 7 enemy fighters closing in, and you trust that feeling in your gut that says this impossible thing is the only way through. Mick's notebook, preserved now in the RAF Museum, has one final entry, written in 1989, 3 days before he died. March 14th, 1945. Still the hardest day, still the clearest. Chen deserved better than me, but I learned something that day that I never forgot. The right choice never feels safe. It feels like falling. And sometimes you have to fall before you can fly. So here's what I want you to take from this. The next time you face your own 7 against 1 moment, when every logical voice says to run, when the smart play is to retreat, remember that there's another option. The option that looks like suicide. The option that requires you to stop thinking and start feeling. That's your 2-second stall. Take it and see what happens when you come out the other side.